How's it going, my dudes, and welcome to the first day of the 12 Days of Anime, which I'm going to be referring to as Weebmas, mostly because I can, and it's also more fitting as to how I'm going to be approaching this entire video project. So, yeah. So what am I going to be talking about, you may be asking yourself, or probably not because it's in the title of the video. Well, I thought it might be quite fitting to get the ball rolling on these 12 days by just taking a look at 6 anime series that I watched this year that I quite enjoyed. I also didn't really watch that much, so it was kind of a small pickings as to what I could talk about, so that's kind of why there's only 6, rather than 10. What's your top 10 picks? WatchMojo.com. YouTube Rewind 2019. Anyway, into the Christmas intro. Oh, side note, this list isn't in any particular ranked order, so it's mostly just shows that I enjoyed rather than I like the shows in this order, so keep that in mind. Back into it. So Goblin Slayer was a show that had a bit of an edgy start, to say the least, with some less than consensual lewd interactions taking place during the first episode. Thankfully, however, or sadly, depending on your preferences, the edge is turned down for the rest of the episodes, and delves into an honestly really cool story about a mercenary in a typical fantasy world who accepts only contracts on killing goblins, which is considered one of the more gross, weaker monsters. Because of this, and the Goblin Slayer's more beaten up look and equipment, he isn't exactly held in a very high esteem by all the other mercenaries in the area, which I guess gives him that more underdog lead role as far as the world is concerned. Or maybe, like, anti-hero? The anti-hero that people need, but don't deserve. I don't know. Goblin Slayer is Batman. Anyway, one thing I really liked was over the duration of the series, it delved into the reasons as to why the Goblin Slayer had such a hatred towards the goblins. It showed that goblins are more dangerous and conniving than most other people in the world realize. And while some of the killing methods the Goblin Slayer took against the goblins seemed quite brutal and near heartless, it all came together at the end of the season as to why he was so brutal and what happens when a goblin is actually given the chance to survive, grow, and then fight back. At the end, it was just a cool dark themed fantasy anime, which just gave you a solid reason to strongly hate the little green fuckers from the get-go. This art club has a problem was honestly just another cute moe slice of life show, this one focusing on an art club where only one of the members actually seemed to care about doing proper art. When it comes to a series like this, there's typically no real form of story progression that we, or at least I, look for, but more the quirky characters that are typically brought to the table. For example, Charlotte, with her weird airhead tendencies, also filling the spot of character that just gets up to the most random stuff on her own. She actually really reminds me of Dakamori from Chuni, which just so happens to share the same voice actor, surprise surprise. Another standout character definitely would have to be Subaru Uchimaki. This dude is my spirit animal. He's just a straight up weeb, has absolutely no interest in real girls, regardless of how many hints the main character throws his way, and his main goal is to create the perfect 2D waifu, which you even see as he works on numerous different waifu paintings throughout the series. I also like how it had such a strong focus in art in general, being based around an art club and all. It probably hits a bit close to home considering how much time I spent in the art room in my own high school back in the day, even when I was meant to be in other classes, like stats. I don't condone wagging, but if your teacher can't teach, you should just go to the art room. Stay in school. Okay, so this one is in a territory a bit different to the other series on this list. One Room is one of the shorter shows in the season, having only 4-minute episodes, so you can watch the whole season in like 40 minutes. I watched the first season when it came out in 2017, found it super cringe, and then the second season came out in 2018, but obviously I didn't get around to watching it until this year. And you know what? I found it just as cringe. You see, the series is taken from the perspective of the viewer, and whenever the characters talk to the main protagonist, it's meant to be like they're talking to the viewer. As I said, it's super cringe, I find it weird, but there is a good reason why I still like it. Kantoku. Kantoku was the one who did the original character designs in this series. He has a very particular art style, and I might be a bit of a sucker for it. You may already know this artist, and or at least probably seen some of his artwork. It kinda gets around a bit. He just has a very nice, round, clean style, and the characters are also super cute. And while Kantoku has worked on a few anime over the recent years, he's certainly no stranger to the more lewd side of the art world. Yes, he's done hentai. A lot. Domestic Girlfriend was an interesting watch, seeming to be one of the few series that isn't a hentai, where the main character gets laid within the first episode. It follows Natsu Fuji, a high school dude, with the hots for his teacher. So to get his mind off of his unrealistic couple goals, he agreed to go to a mixer with some of his classmates, where he meets Rui Tachibana, whom suggests the two ditch the mixer and engage in some sexual relations. Yeah, nah, they do the fuck. They do the fuck indeed. Now this is where things get a lot more interesting. Afterwards, Natsu finds out that Rui is the little sister of the teacher he's completely infatuated with. And to make things even better, his dad comes along and mentions that he's planning on getting remarried to the mother of Rui and her sister, and they're all going to be living in the same house. Now, does this stop Natsu from his pursuit of his teacher? Well, if you said, of course, they're siblings now, you would be wrong. Oh, so very wrong. If anything, it makes him think he's got even more of a chance with her, and then you've got Rui there, who's all unsure if she's fallen for Natsu or not. So, yeah. I'll be honest, the series did get a little hard to watch, but, you know, it's a drama, so it's meant to be like that sometimes, right? So a friend of mine actually recommended me Hina Matsuri earlier in the year, and while in the past I've not really been known for listening to recommendations, I am so glad I checked this one out. The series itself flows very much like a typical episodic comedy, but instead of just presenting jokes and then carrying on with no real impact on the world, the series actually integrates the humour with the story very well, having the gags actually have repercussions later down the line in an actual continuous story. And while yes, the story wasn't anything spectacular as far as going on a quest to defeat X-villain, it focuses heavily on three girls, Hina, Anzu and Hitomi, on their own separate but coinciding stories as they grow and develop over the duration of the series. One of the girls that particularly stood out for me definitely had to be Anzu. While she has more of a soft-hearted spirit, she started out all aggressive on a mission from the future to destroy Hina in epic ESP combat, where they play paper, scissors, rock. Anzu quickly finds herself homeless after arriving in the present, having to steal for food. And after a small mishap at Hina's place, she's unable to return to the future. An older homeless man ends up taking her under his wing and shows her a few tricks on living on the streets and invites her to join their little homeless community. While living with them, she really starts to value the small things she has, along with also a very inflated perspective on the value of money. With this whole scenario that she went through, it genuinely still brings a tear to my eye, thinking about the point where she ends up getting adopted, and how she reacts, it's just too much for me to handle. I'll play a little clip here if I can. It was just a great series. If you haven't already seen it, just go watch it right now. It's something that you definitely won't regret the time sink for. Go watch it. So lastly, we have Tari Tari, an A1 Pictures series that came out in 2012, and something I've been meaning to get around to watching for like the last couple years. And since it's in this video, I clearly got around to it. Finally. The show itself is heavily music focused, following Kanatsu, a third year student who loves to sing, but because she keeps messing up under pressure in the choir, she's not allowed to sing with the choir anymore. Because of this, she starts her own choir club, with blackjack and hookers. Okay, now she just starts her own choir club with a couple of friends and with a little of recruiting, which gives us our main 5 characters with this series. The rest of it is kind of your typical musical series, where they all have their own problems in lives, whether that be trying to go professional in sports, family expectations preventing you from actually chasing your dreams, or having to deal with the loss of a parent. They can all come together through the shared love of singing and music, and all that soppy stuff. It's pretty much just another character development driven series, just like the last one, which is why I liked it. I guess another reason why I really liked it was, while I only watched it this year, it gave me that hint of nostalgia to the sort of stuff I watched when I just started watching anime as a little weeblet. Just the pacing, storytelling, and overall feel kind of just brought me back to the kind of feeling I had and excitement when I just started getting into the genre. It just takes me back, you know. So yeah, that was my 6 anime that I thoroughly enjoyed over the past year. If there are any anime that you reckon I should watch that came out within the last 2 years, put the name down below in the comments and I'll have a look into it. Because I've just not been watching anything for the last while, or at least not much, really. But yeah, this has been the first day of the 12 days of Weebmas, and I look forward to seeing you guys in day 2. Bye guys.